Hello, welcome to ANS Solver. This is the seventh question of the paper. So as you can see, this is a probability density function which is given to us. Okay. And our first part, we need to calculate x more than 1 upon 6 pi. That means we need to integrate, okay, from 1 over 6 pi because that's my lower limit because I need it more than 1 over 6 pi. And my uppest or the highest limit is 1 upon 4 pi, with the integration of root 2 cos x dx. So now what I do is I can write this as root 2 with the integration of 1 over 6 pi and 1 upon 4 pi cos x dx. So now root 2, now the integration of cos x is simple. It's simply sin x. Correct? Remember your pure math here. So these are my limits. So what I can say is root 2 is first sine 1 over 4 pi minus sine 1 over 6 pi. Okay, so my root 2 is basically, if I go on my radian mode on the calc, I'll do sine over 1 upon 4 pi, which will give me 1 over root 2 minus sine 1 over 6 pi, which will give me 1 over 2. So now when I multiply this, when I basically take root 2 inside, I'll get 1 here minus 1 over root 2. So 1 minus 1 over root 2 is simply, you can just write it in this form if you want, or yeah, or because it's a probability, you can write this in the decimal form, which is 0.293. Yeah, write it in the decimal form, not in the exact form. Okay, because it's a probability. Now find the median of f of x. So the formula for median is basically the lowest limit till the median, basically b is your median, with f of x, which will be equated to 0, or sorry, 0.5. Because why 0.5? Because it's the median, it's the middle value. So here I can say my lowest limit is 0. So I can go from 0 to the median m with root 2 cos x dx, okay, which is equal to 0.5. So now I can write this as root 2. I know the integration of cos x is sin x, which we did in part 1, with 0 to m, which is equal to 0.5. So I can write this as root 2, okay, with sin m minus sin 0, which is equal to 0.5. So I can write this as root 2 sin m, basically because sin 0 is 0, which is equal to 0.5. So here I know sin m is equal to 0.5 over root 2, okay, which gives you root 2 by 4. So now what I need to do is I need to do m equals to sine inverse of root 2 by 4. So I can simply do that. Make sure you are on the radian mode. So when I do that, I get my m basically as, I get my m as 0.361, which is basically the median. Okay? Now, the e of x, or the mean. The mean is given by the formula x into the f of x dx with the limits a and b. So my limits I know is basically 0 and pi by 4, correct? And it's x into, I can keep root 2 outside, x into cos x dx. Okay, so now this is a very interesting question because this uses the concept of by parts, okay, in integration. Okay, so here you need pure math knowledge. Okay, you need good pure math knowledge. So in by parts, I know I have something called as isolate, where I is my inverse, L is my logs, A is algebra, T is trigonometry, and E means exponents. Okay, you need to be thorough with your further integration chapter in pure math. It's very important. Okay, so now I can say that my x, which is algebra, is A, and my cos x, which is trigo, is T. So now A comes first and T comes after A. So I give my U as X, okay, and I give my V dash, not V, as cos X. So my U dash, which is the differentiation of X, is 1, and V, which is the integration of cos X, is simply sin X. Now my formula is basically UV with the limits, which is 0 and you can just write it A and B, minus VU dash with the limits dx. So simple substitution is x sin x with the limits 0 and pi by 4 minus the limit 0 to pi by 4 with VU dash. Okay, VU dash is basically sin x dx. Correct, because sin x into 1, which is sin x. So now you can put pi by 4 in the, you can split this into parts. I can write this as pi by 4 sine pi by 4. Okay, and I know when I put 0 in the place of x, I get 0. So I can simply write it like this. So I know sine pi by 4 is 1 by root 2. Okay, so this is basically pi over 4 into root 2. Got it? Now just write it like this for now. Now integrating sin x. The integration of sin x is simply minus cos x. 0 to pi by 4. So now in the place of x, first put pi by 4 minus, now put 0. Just put this much. So cos of pi by 4 or minus cos of pi by 4 is basically minus 1 by root 2. Okay, plus I know cos 0 is 1. So just write this much for now. Now writing everything together, remember I have a root 2 outside, which is here, correct? So my root 2 is basically into pi over 4 into root 2, but there's a minus here, which is somewhere here, correct? Minus 1 by root 2 plus 1, okay, which is now basically root 2, and I have pi by 4 root 2, which is plus 1 by root 2 minus 1. Got it? Basic expansion. So now I can take my root 2 inside the bracket. So I'll get pi by 4 here, correct, because root 2 and root 2 will cancel. Plus I'll get only 1 here because here also root 2 and root 2 will cancel. Minus root 2. Correct? So I need my e of x. So I need to write everything in decimal. So I can simply write this as pi by 4 plus 1 minus root 2. So the e of x I get is basically, when I solve this on the calci, I get 0.371, which is basically the final answer of my question.